And welcome to the Deal Doctor Live. Monday, it's 1 o'clock. Actually 1:01, so just not to make too fine a point of it. But we are very busy. Everybody's out there really busy. And so just if you would be so kind, bear that in mind as Eric and I and Kim try to field your questions. We'd love it if you would call the Deal Doctor line with your questions, because we're getting emails and texts and from all sorts of sources, and it's very challenging to answer them fairly and in the order that they came in. So if you would call the Deal Doctor 616-490-0902 number with your questions, because then we can spread out the workflow and make sure that we get back to you as quickly as possible, and your email doesn't sit until 7 o'clock or your text doesn't sit until 7 o'clock at night. So that would be greatly appreciated. I want to talk about a thread that occurred yesterday on Facebook Connect. It was a great question by Kelly DeHaan, which talked about when sellers want to postpone listings, the presentation of offers. Now, the truth of the matter is, I think very few of you would disagree with me, it's really the agent's idea. And the agent says to the seller, how about we do this? How about we say, seller will not review offers for consideration until after the open house, maybe Sunday night, Saturday night, Monday night, whenever it is. Okay. So and the agent says, and the reason that we want to do this is that we want to compress the potential buyers all into that period of time, so that they're all looking over their shoulders and saying, oh my, we've got to write the very best offer because there are 10 other people waiting to come into the house. That's the strategy. It's been the strategy of the postponement idea for years. And there are good and bad sides to that. I know that Jeff Blahnik posted on his what his process is, that he promotes it, says, offers to be presented on Monday. So he gives several days of allowing agents to show the property, and then any offers that are written are presented Monday night at 7 o'clock or whenever he does it. And I know that Jeff is very consistent about that. He doesn't change in midstream. He doesn't, if a seller calls him and says, hey, I've changed my mind. I've decided that, I heard about somebody who's really interested, has a lot of money, wants to pay cash, and I've decided that I want to change my mind. Well, I'm going to get to that in a minute. But first and foremost, if you go down the postponement road, it is best that you remain consistent and remind your sellers, if that agent pops up with the miraculous offer, the fabulous, incredible offer, the offer too good to be true, before the date of your review that you've stated in the listing contract and on the MLS, bear in mind, it's not up to the agent. The agent can't make that decision. It has to be something that the seller agrees to in writing on the listing contract and disclosed in the marketing comments, and I highly recommend the agent comments as well. At first, it was asked that it be disclosed, in the agent comments. And then they realized, the Association of Flex realized that consumers felt as though they weren't being treated fairly by the listing agent, that there was something untoward going on. and they said we were going to change that and make you agents, the listing agents, put it in the marketing comments so the public could see that even though they wrote an offer on Thursday, their offer was not going to be reviewed until Tuesday. But again, if you discover a listing, which one of our agents did last week, discovered a listing, wrote an offer on it, and then saw the listing pop up with offers are being held until Tuesday, there was something suspicious about it, so we checked with the board, and lo and behold, the agent had not gotten the seller to sign that postponement. They just did it on their own. That's a violation of multiple listing rules. I want to repeat that. It's a violation of multiple listing rules to postpone offers if you don't have it in writing, signed by the seller, and disclosed on the multiple listing data information. So be very careful. You have to know what you're doing if you're going to go down that road as a listing agent to postpone showings. Let's talk about language for a minute. Language, some of the language out there is just wrong. Agents are using the phrase, all deadlines for all offers is Tuesday at 5 o'clock. Think about that. Or what? You're not going to accept my offer on Wednesday if you don't get any offers or a good enough offer on Tuesday? Well, that doesn't make any sense. Again, the consequences are blurry. There are no consequences really, and saying that there's a deadline for offers doesn't say that offers can't be presented before that. Now, I provided some language last night when I responded to the question, which went something like, I'm not going to review it right now because I'm on another page, but it went something like, seller requests no showings until, and will not review offers until such and such a date. That is much different than saying deadline for offers is something, because deadline for offers means that you can still review an offer prior to whatever date you stipulate. So again, if you're going to go down that road, you really, really need to know what you're talking about and the proper procedure. Now, let's pretend that magical offer does come in. I'm going to try just for a moment to see if I can pull up the conversation from last night, because I think it might be helpful. Let's pretend that offer does come in, and you're going to have a and you've got a monster offer. Agent has written an offer sight unseen. The listing is at $200,000. The offer is $250,000. No appraisal required. No inspections required. A non-refundable $10,000 earnest deposit. Wow. Gosh, maybe you should take that offer. I mean, that's a good offer. And in another market, it would have been ludicrous to even think that such an offer would come in. But not in this market. We're seeing a lot of very strange things. So, what happens if that happens? Well, you have a couple of options. Number one, you can go back to the seller and say, we had a strategy starting out. We started out with a strategy, and that strategy was to compress a number of showings in a very tight time period in an effort to get a bidding war and get you the maximum amount for your home. To me, that's still a good strategy. And the person who is writing this offer, sight unseen, is essentially trying to scoop the offer before it has its maximum exposure. Do you want to accept an offer before your home has had maximum exposure? And then the answer is up to them. It's their right to have whatever answer they have. Yes, I want to grab this monster offer that somebody has put before us. I'm going to go back. I see a question from John. John Ardolino.
Just a statement. It's from earlier, 4 minutes ago.
John, as far as your comment, I'm going to say, depending on how the listing agreement, if you say offers will be reviewed until, or I'm assuming you said not reviewed until, means the agent should only notify the seller of offers prior to that date. Forgive me, I'm a little unclear on your point of view here. So if you could clarify it, I would really appreciate it. Just because offers are being postponed, the review of those offers is being postponed, doesn't necessarily waive our responsibility under agency for disclosure. We would still have the responsibility, unless it is very specifically stated otherwise, that we would have to make the sellers aware that there was a monster offer written sight unseen. Do you want to see it or not? You at least have to do that. But if the language is more specific, as I think John is trying to get to here, if the language is more specific that says seller will not review or accept any offers prior to 5 o'clock on Tuesday, then you do have a right to withhold those offers, even though you may say to the seller, I did get an offer came in, but you can stay in the position of not reviewing it. So that brings me to Andy Straub's statement, which is, it's a slippery slope. As you can see already, the language has to be very, very carefully structured. And the best course of action is to stay on task, to keep focus on your original strategy. Don't change your original strategy if that strategy was sound. Stick with it. Stick with the open house. Stick with the period of time that they're going to collect offers and review them all at once. Yeah, there are exceptions. The $250,000 offer, $10,000 non-refundable earnest deposit, no inspections, no appraisal, close in 15 days, give 60 days free possession. You get that offer, and your seller might want to consider changing their minds. Now, what do you do when they say, yes, I want to change my mind, I want to grab that offer, I don't want to lose that offer, I'd be a fool? Give us just a moment, we're going to deal with the air conditioning. Hang on, stay right there. I can keep talking? Forever? Okay, no. Anyway, there are very specific steps that you have to take in order for the buyer or the sellers to change their mind. Step one is you have to have them fill out a listing amendment that says that the seller is decided to review show the home and review offers effective immediately. That's step one. and they have to sign it. Step 2, you have to upload that document along with your listing contract to the MLS. If you get in a grievance situation, the first thing that the MLS, the grievance committee is going to do is they're going to check this timestamp on when that was loaded up to the MLS. Been down this road before, folks. They will check the timestamp on when that amendment was loaded into the MLS against the timestamp that your sellers accepted the new surprise offer. And it better be that you have a timestamp that that amendment was loaded up before that offer was accepted, or else you're probably going to be found guilty in a grievance committee situation. Step, I don't know, let's say 3. If I missed one, I don't care. Okay, 1, sign it. 2, load it up. 3, change the language in the marketing comments and agent comments to say seller has decided to show the home and review offers effective immediately. Then this multiple listing and the boards say it needs some time. It needs to stay out there for a while, preferably 12 hours, preferably more actually, so that other agents can become aware that the situation has changed. They have to be, if you've had several agents, for example, call you and say, I really want to show the house, I've got a great buyer, blah, blah, blah. You have an obligation to call those agents under Code of Ethics. You have an obligation to call those agents back and say, hey, by the way, sellers have changed their mind. If you want to schedule an appointment, you can get in there now, and we will review offers as they come in. But giving it a little bit of aging on the MLS is going to, if you are called into a grievance, it's going to give you some defense that you at least tried to make, to create a level playing field in a fluid situation. It will help to protect you. It won't guarantee, however, that you won't be found guilty of a or at least have a charge filed against you. It doesn't guarantee that. It simply helps to defend you. I hope that helps. But again, back to Andy Straub's comment that it's a slippery slope. Some agents say, no, I'm not going to postpone a showing. I'm going to allow the showings to happen. And whatever offer comes in first, that we're going to present it and see what happens. And that's a perfectly fine strategy too. Again, I suggest to agents, leave it up to the seller. Present the options and say, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this. What do you want to do? I have found, for example, myself, I've found that postponing until an open house is very effective. But then there are other listings where I've looked at them and gone, I think the best option for you is to get this thing on the market and get an offer as quickly as possible. Sometimes it's going to depend on that seller's particular situation. So if you're going to go down that road, be very careful, know the right words, write them down so that you have them or find them. I believe we have them in dot loop in the clauses section. Stay on course. If the seller waffles and says, well, maybe we should skip that and start accepting offers, restate the strategy. Ultimately, they do have the right to change their minds. So enough on that. I hope that's covered it. The choice is yours as an agent. just be careful about how you go about it. I also have had a number of questions, actually, about commissions, particularly with for sale by owners, or I'll call them not arm's length transactions. That's not exactly don't quote me on that. It sounds clumsy. But sometimes, parents are selling their house to a son, daughter, granddaughter, whatever it might be. And that's not exactly an arm's length transaction. And for the most part, they worked out all the details. And so the question I get is, well, what do I charge them? And my answer is anything you want. 3%, 1%, 5%, 6%, whatever you can get them to agree to. But remember that you will be required to charge a $295 broker admin fee, at least, on each partner. The buyer, mom and dad, and the seller, mom and dad, and the son, for example, who might be the purchaser. And again, we've been down the road of explaining why the broker admin fee is not related to representation. It is related to liability and the workload, the additional workload, which is created by having an additional party on our bookkeeping and accounts, ledgers, and so on. So hopefully that helps you a little bit. The one that bothers me a little bit is especially the FSBO. Now, I understand that we are in a tough market for buyer's agents. Buyer's agents are, to some extent, at the mercy of sellers and for sale by owners. And sometimes getting something is better than getting nothing. The more we give up our commission as a daily practice, we are in a race to the bottom. We are going to go lower and lower and lower in terms of commissions. When I started into this business, it was, normal commission was 7%. And I can use the word normal with you because we all work for 5-star. We can't go and have that conversation with a Coldwell Banker agent or Berkshire agent, just so we're clear. But it was 7% back then. And then a lot of agents got very angry as some agents took the step to move to a 6% commission. Now we're seeing agents listing properties at 5% or 4% and offering a lower co-brokerage agreement. Personally, I've been fortunate to maintain my commission rates with my clients because they value the information and the experience that I bring to them. It's a real challenge, but I hate to see agents in for sale by owner situations just give up their commission and just say, well, would you pay a 3%, sort of in this begging sort of way? And if the seller says, yeah, okay, fine, I'll pay 3%, but I'm not going to pay a broker admin fee, well, now you've got $600 that either the buyer's going to pay, the seller's going to pay, or you're going to pay. $295s is going to have to come out of that transaction. So if you're selling at 1%, for example, if you're picking up a 1% on a for sale by owner, again, depending on the price, let's say it's $200,000 house, you're looking at a commission of $1,400 tops. So I hate to see agents giving it away because they are going to find that it's a lot of work to work with a FSBO. FSBOs think that they know it more than you do. They don't need you, and they're going to call the shots. And closing a for sale by owner transaction can be very difficult. It's going to take a lot of work. It's actually going to take more work than if you sell a listing that there's a listing agent involved and who has some control over their clients. So if I work with a FSBO, I'm going to try to get something from the FSBO, maybe 2 or 3%, but I'm also going to get something from my buyer because I have a buyer's agency contract signed. So I might pick up 2% or 1.5%, 3%, whatever I can get from the FSBO, but I'm also going to turn to my buyer and say, hey, I'm doing all the work on this. So I'll agree to cut your buyer agency fee to 1.5%, giving me a total of 4.5% on that particular transaction to get it closed. This is how we feed our families. This is how we put food on the table and we fill our gas tanks. So I hate to see agents just give up their commissions and end up doing twice the work. I was going to say something else about the working with FSBOs, but I can't remember and I didn't jot it down. Buyer agency, real quickly. Also got a lot of calls from agents this past week about agents who have a buyer's agency contract signed with their buyers, and their buyers call them on Monday after they've shown them, the buyer agent has shown them like 50 houses. They call on Monday and say, oh, we found a wonderful for sale by owner, and thanks for all your help. You did a great job. But yeah, we bought it, so hey, thanks. Wish you the best. I'm going to send you a fruit basket, or even not. And the agent is really upset. And I say to the agent, what are you going to do about it? You have a contract. On all of my contracts, buyer's agency contracts, by the way, I have the phrase included, this contract applies to all properties in the state of Michigan, including for sale by owner and new construction. So I'm covered no matter what they buy. And if they choose to cut me out, and I explain why, I say to them, hey, let me ask you this. What do you do for a living? They say they're a mechanic. And so you go in and you work on a car, and the boss says to you, if you come in and you work on a bunch of cars for a week, I'm going to pay you a certain amount of money. And you agree to that. And so for a whole week you work on a bunch of cars, and then at the end of the week you go to the pay window and he says, you know, you did a great job. I can't thank you enough. You were great. I couldn't have had a better mechanic. But we decided to give your check to Bill over there. I hope you're good with that. I hope you have a great life. How would you feel? And when I explain it to people in those terms, they either, one, understand it and sign a buyer's agency contract with me, knowing that I am going to enforce the buyer's agency contract, even if that means taking them to court. Or, number two, they get up and walk away, and I will have saved myself a bunch of wasted energy. Value yourself. Value what you bring to your clients, to your listings, to your buyers. And don't cut the commissions down to bare bones where you're not making any money. So I hope that helps. It's 1:30. I appreciate you joining, and I'll see you here next week.